I made a car using ChatGPT and Google Bard in the past, but there's another AI chatbot made by Microsoft called Bing Chat. Like the last two videos, I will ask Bing to design a 2010 economy car to see if it can topple the undefeated ChatGPT car, the Nexa Adventura. Hey guys, it's TRIZE here, and this is the Bing Chat AI web interface right here at the main screen. So as you've seen with the intro of how I just copy and pasted my build list of how this doesn't work whatsoever. Like if I could just paste the list right here, well, part of the list, you know, there's a 2,000 character limit for the AI to generate. Once it generates, it'll just like either say, I'll just come up with something, or it'll just show like a little error message saying like, oh, this is banned for some odd reason. And it ends up with the, I'll try to create that with a few links to go to, which is weird. So seeing that is a failure, on the top right portion of the screen, which I'll click on right here, if you got the Microsoft Edge browser, you click on the little Bing logo, and up comes the list for this kind of Bing Chat AI system in place, which is kind of weird. So as I enter this prompt for the Bing Chat, this should work, which is kind of interesting. And also about this build list right here, both with the naturally aspirated and the turbocharged build list will be available in the description below and a pinned comment for you to download, which will be free to use or free to improve or do whatever for ChatGPT, Google Bard, or Bing Chat or whatever. So according to here, okay, it's a Bing Eco 1.1, a hatchback, steel monocoque. Okay, here's the... I'm sorry, but I can't generate the rest... Huh? Prius, Civic, Honda Insight, Ford Fusion, the Milan, Lexus, Altima, Camry. I hope this helps. What? I don't know if I should continue with just the Bing Eco 1.1 to design the actual car itself, but it hasn't generated the engine as I told it to do so. Right here, type of engine and everything below it. So let's try this again. I'm sorry, but I can't. I tried this yesterday and it came up either as a Toyota or a Ford. Okay, Toyota Yaris. I changed it to make it a more creative design. Let's see if this works. Okay, engine? Okay, it's making up an engine, but I'm kind of like almost done with Japanese cars at the moment. I'll probably just keep this for like my automation campaign build, seeing I'm like making like K cars, small cars, Japanese cars like left and right. So it did design an engine and a pretty much a background of a car, but anything more... Okay, oh, here, 4,000. Let me see here. What if I copy and paste the entire list? Yes, I can do the entire list. Let's try this. Wow, that's a lot of specification. Honda Civic? My last car was a frickin' Honda S660 knockoff, the frickin' Hinata Radium, the Hinata Radium SCL, which was a Sports K EV. So I tried to give the same type of prompt again to claim that it can't do it anymore, even though it did make up a frickin' Honda Civic. So I might as well roll with this type of spec setup that we got here, spec sheet that it gave me. So take note what this told me what to do, and let's go to automation with this kind of build list. I guess this is close enough to a 2010 Honda Civic. So with the pan material, it's steel with a monocoque chassis made out of steel, front transverse engine placement, McPherson strut front suspension, and a torsion beam for the rear, and nothing changed for the quality, pretty much for anything up in here. And for the engine, inline 4 engine made out of cast iron with the bore set to 81 millimeters right here. With the stroke set just a little bit up to an 87.3 millimeters, which gets the engine size to 1,799 cubic centimeters or 1.8 liters as stated. With a single overhead cam 4 valve or 16 valves in total made out of aluminum for the heads. And the crank cowl rods, pistons, and balancing mass like the bottom end, everything just cast iron crank, cowl rods, and the pistons with a harmonic damper implemented. And I should probably give a prompt for what the balancing mass like counterweight from like 110, 220, or 0. I should probably make an update to that. The compression ratio it gives is a 10.6 to 1 ratio, so one value up from the default 9.6, with the cam profile 40, just the default values here. And VVT strictly for the intake due to it being single overhead cam, and no VVL whatsoever with an RPM of just a few clicks up to 6,500 RPM. And as stated, there is no turbocharger because this wasn't turbocharged whatsoever the prompts that I've given it. So for the fuel system, it will be fuel injected, so a multi-point electronic fuel injector with a standard low intake. I should have... say single or per cylinder, so I would assume single with a standard low intake as stated, and 87 fuel, 87 AKI, or just 86. And finally for the headers, so cast low headers with the single exhaust with the exhaust diameter set to 38.1 millimeters or 1.5 inches. With just a regular old 3-way cat and a reverse flow first, none second, which will bring us to, oh no, 93.2 horsepower at 4,500 RPM and a torque of 128.4 pounds-feet of torque at 3,100 RPM. If I were to improve on this engine, which I'm not going to because of how but Bing Chat has laid out here, so there is quite a bit of restrictions for the intake and a bit for the exhaust too, and some for the headers also. So improving the manifold size, we're going to increase the power as so, seeing that the power is pretty much peaking out like mid RPM at 4,600 rather than like in the 5,000s or whatever and then dropping off. Whatever improves to a mid. Not too bad. Kind of levels out the somewhat high end and then begins to drop off. So anyways, let's give you here what this Bing AI engine sounds like right here. It's generated AI engine. You can definitely hear the ones and zeros coming out as janky and underpowered ass engine. So our only option for the drive type, which also says so in Bing Chat, is a front wheel drive setup with, let me see here, an automatic 5-speed with overdrive, which I can't do so. With the top speed set to 124 miles per hour, which is almost our top speed, our estimated top speed given right here of almost 130. And an open differential and differential quality level. Okay, but it's at a 0 too. For the tires, they're going to be a medium compound type of tires with the front and rear tire width. Well, these are the dimensions stated, so they're 195s, 65s, R15s. So 195s for the front and the back, and drop these to some 15-inch rims, and lower these until we get to the 65 level. So I'm guessing 630, I think centimeter or millimeter like diameter tires. So these are the true values of P195s, 65s, R15s, but it doesn't show the speed value and load index of 96H. It just says 195s, 65s, 15s. And they are going to be using just regular old steel rims, so for the brakes, which is kind of interesting in how this is set up. So the brakes is a Venedisc 2-piston up front with the size of 282 millimeters, but the closest we could do is 280. And brake force at 100%, rear NA for the front brake force percentage. The rear is a solid disc with a single piston of its size set to 260 millimeters. And the rear brake force is also 100% with the front at an NA. For the under tray, it just says right here, under tray type none, brake airflow percentage blank. So none, 0 for the brake airflow. Now for the interior, so let me see here, what's it say here? NA seating count, okay, 5 seats, so a 5-seater, 3 in the back, 2 in the front as so. Standard type of interior, it just says standard STD. Entertainment type, CD player, CDP, interior quality level 0. So just a standard issue CD player, okay. For the driver and safety aids, for the steering, it does say hydraulic powered steering, so racket pinion hydraulic steering. Traction aids, ABS brakes, traction control, electronic stability control, so just ECS because it will include traction control and ABS brakes with this package. And the safety standards, advanced safety features for the year of production in the market of sale, ASF 2010 MOS. Okay, so advanced 2010 safety standards with the driver aids quality, which is this right here, to a +5. The safety quality level, which will improve weight for automation. I don't think BeamNG.drive would be the same. This will be a +5 too. Optimized weight slider, NA. Weight distribution slider, NA. Either of these two still stay at 50%. So lastly, for the suspension, which goes here, front and rear are standard springs. So standard springs, front and rear, twin tube dampers, front and rear, past sway bars, front and rear, with a normal type of preset. So right away, the car doesn't oversteer or understeer, but it's almost like just right between these two, so not that bad. So seeing we got the car finished, the Honda Civic, the Civic clone, Now we gotta do the same thing with what kind of name for the engine, so I guess go back to Bing Chat right now. So let's see if it can come up with a made-up car engine family to be used in economy cars. So EcoBoost, Skyactiv, the real stuff, a Ford EcoBoost, Mazda Skyactiv, and PureDrive, this Toyota. Frickin' Smart Power, GM's Flex Fuel. This is not what I had in mind. So we got 5 to choose from, so give me number between 1 and 5. Let's just do it right here. So number 1 to 5, it will be the Smart Power, yes! So our family engine name will be Smart. Damn caps lock, Smart Power. Brought to you by Bing. So seeing we're not allowed to improve the car whatsoever because of what it's given me for Bing Chat, I might as well just design the car right here to almost try to look like a frickin' Honda Civic. I mean, the body type, it kinda does in a way, but not really. So I will and probably will not try my best to design the car as so in the time-lapse of trying to look like a wannabe Honda Civic. So let's start off the design time-lapse of this car build right now. So for the design of this car, I went in and winged it, trying to make a knockoff Honda Civic. Also, I'm not a huge fan of this body when it comes to designing it, especially when I designed the rear end. For the front, I loosely replicated the headlight and turn signal placement when designing the headlights, along with adding a top grille fixture with the chrome strip and terrible Honda badging. I then added the grille and vent fixtures to match with the Civic's front end, but I end up changing it to include the body morphing that insets into the bumper from where the grille and vents meet up. For the sides, I kinda struggle with replicating the side trim of how it sticks out from the body. I used some body morphing fixtures, but they seem to dig into the body and aren't linear. I then settled on adding some typical edge guards to serve as the side trim. Now for the rear, I first added the exhaust pipe cutout and a body morphing fixture to add some detail to the rear bumper. I then designed the taillights, which are kinda mediocre. I tried to find which light fixture would work for this car. I ended up picking these Pelagonia ones and sticking with them throughout this build. I then added the molding for the license plate on the trunk, along with the chrome bar that spans between both taillight housings, including the actual design of the lighting setup with the brake lights, turn indicators, and reverse lights. Finally, I repainted the car to this deep blue color, which the generator list told me to paint it. So after getting everything done with this build, here's how it came out. This is the 2010 quote-unquote Honda Civic. This AI-generated car by Bing Chat is how they anticipated a Honda Civic would perform. Anyways, will this car take down the undefeated Nexa Adventura? Or will it perish like Bill Gates stepping down from the board of Microsoft? So here we are with the quote-unquote Honda Civic completely built that's underpowered and definitely does not look like a Civic from the rear end and not so much the front end because I'm not a big fan of designing cars with this particular body. So before we export this bad boy to BeamNG.drive, despite our only 2 problems that we got here, such as the rear brake forces being too high and the clearance of the front of the engine is getting narrow, let's head on over to BeamNG and see if this can really take down the Nexa Adventura. So here we are at the map of West Coast USA with the quote-unquote Honda Civic completely spawned up at the highway portion of the map, and I might as well a little bit later after I do my basic performance test with this car, is I'll probably spawn in and compare the differences between the Toyota Echo, aka the Google Bard car, and especially the Nexa Adventura, which is a ChatGPT car. So anyways, let's get a reading of the basic performance test with this car, starting with the 0 to 62 acceleration test, followed by the 62 to 0 brake test, and lastly, a top speed run with this vehicle. So 0 to 60, commencing now. Accelerate, and this is the Toyota Echo car I was talking about. Get out of my way, damn it! Well, thanks for botching my test. So 0 to 62 underway again. There goes my school bus just sitting in the middle of the road, stuck at the toll gate. So 0 to 62 in 12.59 seconds of 718.08 feet. That sounds kind of poor. I mean, the engine makes like 93 horsepower, so it's pretty much expected. So brake test. Some screechiness. 62 to 0 in 2.95 seconds of 122.56 feet. Well, brake time and distance, pretty average. Not the world's best in distance, but brake time seems pretty average, pretty alright. So for a top speed run, it's already effective. Also notice, like, watch it upshift. It upshifts at like 5200 RPM because the power pretty much peaks off and drops off at that RPM, so it doesn't even redline whatsoever unless you do it. Get out of my way, Mr. S660 car from my last video. I would say pretty much the only time it redlines where you redline in neutral, it doesn't do so or get close to redline in drive mode. It doesn't do it whatsoever, and I'm gonna pass one, get the hell out of my way. So now we just reached 100 miles an hour, so I believe this car is definitely going to do the worst compared to the Toyota Echo and an Nexa Adventurer. So top speed wise, hell no, we didn't make it whatsoever. So gantry, let's crash this bad boy right here in slow motion. Alright, let's start off with 100 times slow-mo. I'll do the 50. And 50 times slow-mo into the gantry. There goes some of the fixtures with the bumpers, the grills, the grill bars, the tire. And whatever this is that part of my little grill trim that I tried like, or a bumper trim that I tried to match up like the little molding on the side, like the real life Honda Civic in real life. So speed up a little bit, nothing of interest, full time. And somehow the engine still runs. You can see here we got the radiator destroyed and the engine is not destroyed. If I back up, we're stuck. And the engine does rev. What if we were to free my brothers and just break the engine doing that as I tried to demonstrate the engine still works it out, but the engine's destroyed. Get out of my way, Mr. Mons, whatever car this is. It's kind of interesting. There's like a large variety of like automation cars that are like spawned in here, like this bus, the Toyota Echo, and that little Mons car that you've seen there. So I got both loaded up, the Toyota Echo and the Nexa Adventurer. So the quote-unquote Honda Civic, the Bing Chat car, was a 12.5 seconds 0 to 62, so let's accelerate with the Toyota Echo as it is in manual transmission compared to automatic transmission. Damn, move this damn bastard out the way, and the S660, that stalled out. 0 to 62 in just about 10 seconds, 972, 527 feet. Let's try out the next adventure and see how this goes. So flying through the gears because of a lack of gear spacing, 0 to 62 in 8.5 seconds, 458 feet. So the next adventure is crowned the best, followed by the Toyota Echo and the Honda Civic. So let's do a time trial run at automation to see, by the automation test track, to see if I can topple either the Echo or the Adventura. So here we are at the map at the automation test track with the handling circuit as I tested with the 2 previous AI generated cars in the past, technically 3 with the Idle Hawkeye, the wannabe Buick Encore, Opel Mocha, whatever you call it. So as far as I know, the time to beat with the Nexa Adventura doing 2 laps with a rolling start is a 2 minutes 48 seconds, and in second place is the Toyota Echo of a 3 minutes 2 seconds. So let's see if I can beat either of those 2 times here with the Honda Civic in ready, go. Poor launch because it's an automatic 5-speed transmission, unlike before with the other 2 cars of a manual 5-speed, I believe. So let's see how well it handles the corners. Ooh, power loss. It handles fairly well compared to the Toyota Echo, because the Toyota Echo kind of like understeered if I recall correctly, but now my tires are chirping like a sick dog or something, I swear. See that? It's like I barely turn and it burp, burp, by instant chirpiness. And according to BeamNG with the power graph, our brake horsepower is 92 horsepower and 128 pounds-feet of torque is our engine dyno that we got here compared to what we got in automation, where it was like almost 94 horsepower, 93 point some, and 130-ish pounds-feet of torque, 132 as far as I know or recall or whatever. As far as I know with the Nexa Adventura, this car was like, oh, that car was zippy through the corners, and I'm like, with this car, I mean, it's coming out of the corners pretty slow. You come in and slow down for the corner, and you stay slow, and you can't exit quickly out of that corner like you do in real life and racing. And we're going to get a first lap time. I don't think we're going to be on course to beat the Toyota Echo. 1 minute 37 seconds, 396 milliseconds. We got to bust balls on this, like ASAP. I don't know what's up with the car's tires. Like, watch if I steer into this corner. Other than that screechiness, I mean, the boat I steer in kind of like this. I mean, I'm using a controller, by the way. Like, the boat I kind of, like, start to steer in, the tires, like, instantly chirps. Like, I'm taking the corner way too fast, stopping too fast, or whatever. I mean, these are 195 tires. These are somewhat common of some, like, older cars and low-profile vehicles back in its day, and sort of today and all that stuff. Mainly they're, like, in the 200s, and... wow, ECS of that power drop was ridiculous. Say, that tire size was somewhat common back in the day, like the high 100s to the low 200s. But to cause the chirpiness the moment you steer in is kind of ridiculous. And we're going to get into 130, so here's our final corner. Still in our final corner, so here's the handling circuit sign. Watch tire barrier! Damn it! So we get a time of 1 minute, 37 seconds, 117 milliseconds of a total time. Dead last, 3 minutes, 14 seconds, 573 milliseconds, which, what's the Hawkeye? The Hawkeye was third place of a 312, followed by the Toyota Echo of a 302, and the next Adventura smoking everybody, the ChatGPT car, 248. So the ChatGPT car will remain king, followed by the Google Bard car, third place the Automation Game AI car generator, and in dead last is the Bing Chat car, the wannabe Honda Civic. So as we're doing a front-wheel drive drift, let's go to free roam, and we didn't pull out the drift well enough, so full time, crash, boring ass crash, impact detected, stopping car, so whatever. Anyways, for the final part of the video, let's drop this bad boy down a ramp, a big ass ramp per se, at the good old car jump arena to see if this wannabe Honda Civic made by Bing Chat will live up to its expectations. So anyways, spawn up the top of the ramp right now. So here we are at the top of the ramp of Car Jump Arena, and currently we got a 2 light, followed by a 3 light, 4 light, and the 5th light, so get ready to accelerate on green now. Acceleration, camera, do your job, and ramp, do your job by accelerating this vehicle to a very top speed, fast speed and top speed of a 0-60 to about 6.07 seconds of 236.60 feet, wannabe Peugeot 607 time looking ass. At speed, 140 exactly off of the ramp, and the distance right at the 300 meter marker, and I thought we were going to land on 4 wheels, so we're on a roof, into the sand, end over end, in the pond. Yes sir, in the pond, so impact detected, do not flood the engine, just keep the engine off as so. So, base drop the car, just like that, to look at the aftermath destruction of the vehicle as I roll this over gently. Thank you. And right away, look at the taillights as we, as you can see the hazards go off because impact detected stopping car. This is officially a weapon. This is not a little, like, signaling device that tells people where to go or you broke down or whatever. This is officially a weapon. Kids, if you come across this, stay far away, whether you're on foot or in a motor vehicle. So the aftermath destruction, I mean, it kind of held up well for the end-over-end collision. The rear end got messed up and the sides look okay. The front, fair. So the Bing Chat generated car, aka the wannabe Honda Civic. Well, this car performed the worst compared to the other AI generated cars such as the ChatGPT car, the Nexa Adventura, the Google Bard car, the Toyota Echo, and the Idle Hawkeye GLX, the Automation AI generated car. Those 3 cars did much better despite some of their flaws, but those did much better compared to the Civic. It had a pretty janky engine making around 93 horsepower and a somewhat of a mediocre 5-speed automatic transmission, not doing much of the work to stay on par with any of those cars. So anyways, that'll do it with Automation and BeamNG.drive. And for those who are interested in this type of content, please be sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss out on any videos like this in the future. So this is TRIZE Rising Up, and signing out.